Hello, Earthlings! Every day is Earth Day with Fiona Dempster, the podcast. This is episode 124. And today I would invite you to get your silly on. How silly can you be? And would you be willing to just be you? And if silly bubbles up, keep bringing it up. Allow it to just flourish and flow and explode and cover the world with your silly. How silly can you get? Is it something you wear? Is it something you say? Is it something you do? Or is it simply something you be? How silly can you be? Yeah, you may even think this podcast in its entirety already is pretty dang silly. With 24 episodes of just, short little musings about all sorts of things on the planet. And it may just be totally silly. And some people don't like silly, and some people do. But today, we're just gonna let our silly out. Whatever that looks like for you. If it's, and people just may say that you're silly. You're silly for existing. And it's funny, and they don't really get it, but that's just, you're being silly. Oh, you're 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 silly. All right, well, judgy people can have their judgments. What if we can be silly in the face of judgment today? And just have it and be it for us. Some people would say it's silly to have fresh, beautiful cut flowers in the house. I have a friend who's been asking for more of that in her house, and she shared a posting on Facebook all about how she put these flowers in her house and they were beautiful, and then the interactions and the things she noticed about them, the ones that were in the vase facing the wall and the ones she would walk by and admire, and how that changed and how some of them passed away really fast because they weren't being acknowledged. I mean, some people would say that's really silly. Oh, that's silly. You can't have that. You can't know that. Well, what if you can? Yeah. What if all of the places you've been accused of being silly is simply the joy and the magic that you know is possible in your life? And why would you not have more silly? Right? So, anywhere anybody judged you as wrong for being silly, let's let that go now. If you're ready to. Just let it go. You could even return it to them if you want. Here, I see your judgment. You can take it back. If you call me silly, yes, I am silly. Let's acknowledge just how silly we are and what would change and what would be created when the next person who calls you silly, your reply is, why, yes, I am. Thank you very much. I love being silly. You want to be silly with me? How much more silly can we get? What would that create? I definitely know that they wouldn't be expecting that reply, because they usually just expect you to resist and react whenever they're judging you. What if you didn't have to judge you? And what if you didn't have to buy their judgment as real? And you just kicked up your heels and went on your silly merry way. That's your invitation to play today. Play in the silly zone. How joyful and how much fun can you have with being silly? All right. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Every Day is Earth Day. I'll catch you another day.